My name is Chen from Department of Education of ICEE. It's my honor and privilege to host this afternoon section. Thanks for coming for this conference, especially for this windy and chilly afternoon. I'm sure all of you have enjoyed our wonderful lunch. So this is our time and a chance to enjoy another feast academically. Before starting our session, let me introduce our three distinguished guests from different countries. From my left-hand side is Miss Chen. She originated from Taiwan, but now she is studying her PhD degree in De Montfort University, Leicester in England. And the second presenter is Chen, originally from Malaysia, and she is going to share about something on professional education. And the third presenter is from Philippines. She's going to present her research about e-learning. Each one of our presenters will have 15 minutes to present. And then after they finish the presentation, we can have like 30 minutes to open to the ground, have some feedback to our presenters.
I just compressed a 40-minute presentation to 10 or 15 minutes. So I will speak like a high-speed train, right? Okay, very quickly, because I'll just do a self-introduction very quickly. So I started in education. I've taught in Malaysia and also in US. I taught the Americans English at university level. Then I left to become a trainer, corporate, and I also work as a consultant and all over the world. And then I decided I've enough of seeing the world, so I set up my own consultancy, and then I promptly went on to most parts of Asia. So for the most part of my career, I was a consultant. I work mostly in strategic HR, strategy implementation, working with McKinsey in Vietnam and implementing the systems, and working with global executives on leadership. So that's part of my background. This is where the green part is where I did a lot of my work as a consultant. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. And this is where now I've decided to position the green part, Sophio. Sophio means is Latin for wisdom. And today I would like to talk about, I'm not sure why it's gone. Let me use this.
So would you like to give some help?
Okay, never mind. So what I'd like to talk about today, very quickly, is about the Internet of Things and people and how that's changing the way we live and work. It's not incremental change. It's very transformational change. And this is what I'd like to focus on today. And what is Industry 4.0? It is popularly known as, thank you, Industry 4.0. If you look at the four major shifts in our written history, the first one was steam. It powered the rest, and they came it made a first dramatic historical change in our lives, all our lives. The second shift came about with mass production, and in this case, we have industrial systems. Industrial systems, and that created another historical shift where people work and live differently, and different parts of the world prosper because of that. And sometime around the year 2000, there was a dot-com boom, which again changed lives. And now we are entering the fourth historical shift in written history. and this is the popularly known as Industry 4.0. It's where everything converges. Big data, technology-driven automation, AI, artificial intelligence, robotics, and online community ecosystems, peer-to-peer collaboration and fundraising, crowdfunding, instant and disappearing communication. So all the things that that was maybe, it's all within living memory, the sudden change. And also, now we have Bitcoin, right? The payment protocols. So these are very impactful changes. How did I move to the next one? Okay, never mind, we skip that. So we're talking about internet changes. How does that impact on professional education? The critical issue today is how do we survive? We meaning everybody, the learners, the study institutions, the people. How do we survive? It's a surf or drown in the sea of massive changes happening today. How do educators prepare students and learners for the emerging future? What's happening? When I was studying in the UK, there's a part of UK, the northeast, where people are long-term unemployed, blue-collar workers. They used to work in the tin mines, in the shipbuilding industry. They can almost never find jobs. And today, what's happening today is that professionals are laid off work, and they probably will not be able to find jobs because their jobs are replaced by AI-powered machines and so on. So we are getting today, on one hand, laid off professionals, including teaching faculty, because just like shopping malls which are closing because of online shopping, universities are closing off sections of their study systems. And on the other hand, I hear in parts of Asia, fresh graduates are unable to get jobs, unemployable graduates. Why? The question was raised, why? And the other phenomena that's happening is there are students, undergraduates, who go to school, and those who choose to go to school may drop out after 1 or 2 years of study. There are also some who choose not even to go to university because they no longer see the value of university education. I'm sorry, this is what's happening. It's not my fault. Okay? But so to be able to understand how do you adapt, right, to all these changes, the realities, right? Let's go back to the core of education philosophy, the one that's promoted or rather postulated by John Locke in the 17th century. He talked about, he wrote an essay called about human understanding, and his philosophy is about tabula rasa, which is the mind is like a blank screen, and it is your experiences that imprints the learning. Yeah. So he probably, to me, he probably set the foundation for action and experiential learning, and he's the one who strongly promoted the idea of making sense of experiential knowledge arising from sensations and reflections. So to me, again, this is a personal opinion, he weighs more heavy on the side of nurture versus nature. So over lunch, Dr. Ong talked about educating people to be good, not necessarily clever, right? Which was very interesting, because I will also touch a bit about that. So the learning challenges today of all the swift changes that are happening, the rapid changes, and the life experiences for many people, the learning challenge does not lay just in the students. I would say a lot of it has to do with the study institutions and also faculty, Professor Chen, yeah? Faculty. Why? Because part of the issue, and pardon me for saying this, part of the issue, right, is because the very well-established study institutions, just like the best top multinationals in the world, the great ones, mighty ones also can fall. So the really strong, good reputation institutions, they are the ones who find it hardest to change, because what made them successful in the past may not bring them to the future. So why? It's because they're so rooted in the success, the agile capacity of these study institutions are slow to adapt to changes. Slow to achieve, because they've always been successful in the past. So students find that what they're learning does not connect with the reality. So they drop out. Okay? So that's my answer over lunch. I was asked this question. Some of the teaching faculty try to adjust, okay, by giving project-based learning, internship, which will be a topic later, work or study abroad, which are all very good because it's immersion, it is about giving experiences and so on. However, and I'll share with you my corporate experience. However, okay, with all this reservoir of scattered experiences from work exposure, from internship, from immersion in foreign culture, right? How do they convert the imprints on the mind, as John Locke says? Actually, I wanted to show a video that I created, but never mind. We don't have time, so too bad. How do we move from data and information to knowledge for the learner? How do we do that? You need a catalyst. I'll give you an example of what happened. In an Arab, I work in the Middle East as well. In an Arab organization, they sent the best and brightest. And this happens in most multinationals. They send them for an international assignment where they have a lot of learning. Now, no one gathers this experience into collective wisdom for the organization, for the future. So as in the words of one of the person who managed this, he said, we send our best out. And we send our dying horses out to die in places in the world where we think there's no future. The near retirement people, as international managers. But what happened was, the world changed. And places like, I'll name you. Places like India and China, unlike the West, right, became the future marketplaces for this Middle East energy company. And those dying horses, nobody touched them. So nobody covers the information from their experiences. So if you provide the experience, but nobody guides them, there's no catalyst to move from data to information to knowledge, then it is just an experience. There's no conversion to knowledge. So when I talk about anytime, anywhere education, it's very important that people learn how to make use of the context. Right? So human reflections are needed, and it is about the complexity of experiences. Now this is the general philosophy. Professional education, right? It's very important to tap onto the wisdom. And this wisdom is what differentiates the future survivor and successful person from the ordinary learner, because AI will replace most of you at work. What differentiates you from the machine, the programmed AI, artificial intelligence, is wisdom. So professional education, anytime, anywhere, must be able to help you convert that data that's gathered, the information, the experience, into knowledge, and a catalyst is further needed to convert, to move that up into collective wisdom for the continuing success of the organization as well. So, I have to rush. So you will find, well, I just want to share that after all this, and I was opening my 4th company in Myanmar. When I arrived in Myanmar, suddenly I was seized by spiritual transformation. So for no reason, I closed all my companies and I went to the mountains to meditate for 5 years. And when I used to work for 16 hours every day, 366 days, I found one extra day, 366 days in a year, suddenly I switched to 14 hours a day meditation. I didn't know what was happening, completely stopped digital connections, never, family totally shocked, so never talk about spirituality in my whole life. It was only corporate. I was a corporate chick. Suddenly, I disappeared from the world, and all I did was just meditation. Now, you would think that's a useless, I didn't even know MH17 happened and so on. And then when I came out, I found out that Google was teaching meditation to its employees. Now it's exporting it to the world and teaching corporate professional education how to get wisdom through search inside yourself. And I thought, hey, and if people pay $7,500 for a program. so I just want to very quickly sum up. What is the importance of people ask me, where did you start? What did you learn? Okay, I'll tell you my CV. I started as an English teacher. I went on to do my master's in education. And then today, I'm working with chairman and CEOs, or rather recently, chairman and CEOs of companies to implement strategy. Today, I work with aspirational youth. I've set up a social enterprise, a digital college, to give people a second and third chance in life to make it in a different way. But it's very new, it's very experimental, and it's at an age. So, self-directed learning to continue. What is important in today, in anytime, anywhere, professional education? Well, I've mentioned one of them. You can do meditation and it's still professional education because you learn the inner wisdom of mindful leadership, how to be mindful. The other thing, so it's about lifelong learning. The other thing is that we provide for entrepreneurs who came up from high school, made it, and then they realize they have an incomplete education. So they come back and they do it. I have 2 entrepreneurs like that right now. And then, what is important in terms of anytime, anywhere, professional education, the element is that it must be able to rapidly help a person apply to work challenges and upskilling. And also, you watch somebody like Jack Ma, Alibaba. He's now asked for his opinion on everything. Alright? So as an entrepreneur, when you make it at some point, you better go for lifelong learning because people are going to ask your opinion about everything. So it's about growth. Okay. So now, what are the important things to remember about on anytime, anywhere? The contents must be constantly updated. Constantly updated to be relevant and change, alright? Contextual. This is something that I would have liked to talk about more. Because I was appalled with e-learning, supposedly e-learning. It's just everything from textbook, scanned and put online, which is not really, the whole purpose. But today, learners will not accept this kind of e-learning. So what is important is that for design purpose, it would be good to have a professional education that's maybe story-based, so that the learner draw their own conclusions. One example of I have actually an example of a cartoon which I created. It's only 3 minutes, but it generates 2 to 3 hours of discussion because they project their own thoughts, their own experiences, and their own issues there, and we have a very lively discussion. We are all Asians here. Asians are very shy, They don't like to say, I'm good, I'm no good, I have this problem. So we get them to project a cartoon, and that's fantastic because it's not them, it's somebody else. Alright, so that's what I've created. So what are the important things in anytime, anywhere? The design element, it would be good to have a story base. Normally, immersion lets people immerse themselves. Scenario based. Now that scenario is up to them to interpret. So these are some of the design elements. Needs to be readily available on different devices, including mobile. And it's important to have a community that connects. Now, most people misunderstand anytime, anywhere, professional education as having more social networking and so on. Actually, people are looking for connections. Connection is different from interaction. Interaction is at the surface level. People are looking for connections. The sense that you understand me, we understand each other, even though we've never met. So this is one of the elements of professional education that will make it very powerful. I was going to share that on about my experience working with middle managers in an American technology company. I coach some people. It's also part of professional education, their leadership. I've never met them, probably will not see most of them. Right? Coach them in Japan and so on. And listening to them makes sense of their management experiences. They're very, very busy people, sales and management, and the pressure is very great today. You will get a sense that you get an understanding of the kind of challenges. So you need to be able to help them make sense of their challenges in order to move, like what I said just now, move from data, the collection of experiences, into knowledge and collective wisdom. So the company then harvests what are the common themes of challenges that people face, what are they thinking? So they use that for their leadership development. This is essential when you design and when you think about how to deliver and also the success outcomes of professional education. All right, I'm sorry if I spoke at top speed. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much. The last but not the least presentation is from Jennifer. She's from Welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, we're from Romasame, Luzon, Muntinlupa, and I'm with my co-authors right now with Mr. Christian Danya and Elvira Cristobal. Okay, so our research is all about the analysis of e-learning readiness state of the faculty members, students, and administration in public higher education institution for the adaptation of blended learning. E-learning is currently one of the most motivators of the e-domains accessible through the internet, even as existing reserved learning, now and then referred to as e-learning. The tools have on bringing the visual classroom to distant learner, the next generation of e-learning, as a perspective to bring remote learners to the laboratory. Okay, so in the present situation of the Pamantasan and Lungsod ng Muntinlupa, or the University of Muntinlupa, in particular the College of Information Technology and Computer Studies, has gone to pilot implementation of blended learning. Understanding e-learning is simple. E-learning is an application of electronic technologies to access educational curriculum outside of a traditional classroom from brick and mortar. The institution has conducted the study to identify how students will accept changes in learning using technology subjects, how educators will acknowledge the revolutionized instruction injecting the machinery, and how government will support the needs of the institution in its adaptation of trends in learning environment for its adaptation of blended learning for the entire university. And as for the methodology, okay, so to further assess the readiness of the students, faculty, and administration, a quantitative research design was applied using the survey research method. The instruments for the student and faculty contains a total of 53 and 71 queries respectively, separated into 3 parts, which are technology access, technology skills, and attitude towards e-learning. For administrator, there are 3 queries, consist of commitment, policies, administrative support, and resource support. We had a total of 1,249 respondents, composed of 156 faculty, 1,078 students, and 15 administrators. As for our data interpretation, so in our colleges, in our university, we have 5 colleges. So we have the CITCS, which is the College of Information Technology and Computer Studies. And then we have the CCJ, the College of Criminal Justice. And the CTE, which is the College of Teachers Education. CBA for the College of Business Administration. And then CAS, which is the College of Arts and Sciences. For the students' readiness, the CITCS got the highest percentage among other colleges in terms of technology access. This goes through also in terms of technology skills. For faculty readiness, CAS got the highest percentage in terms of technology access, and CITCS got the highest percentage in terms of technology skills. And for the administration readiness, YES got the highest percentage for full support. Okay, so these are the tables that shows our survey. Okay, for students' attitude, also the CBA gets the highest percentage. Now, based on the results and interpretation of the study for the following, the student results entail that only some of them have the technology access because students from local universities cannot afford to buy their own computers and does not have internet connection at home. It also demonstrates that the students are highly skilled in using computers, knowledgeable in using basic internet skills, and familiar with different software applications. And as for the attitude of the students, implies that all colleges have high abilities in terms of communicating effectively in using online technologies. They should be well motivated and enthusiastic in taking online classes or courses, and time management must be considered in getting all things done. However, the student must improve their study habits in using technology. Students should refrain from distractions and must stay on the task while working or studying. As for the faculty, manifested in the result that the faculty have their own dependable computers and have an access to internet connections with updated programs and applications. The result demonstrates that the faculty have the basic computer and internet skills in using computers and browsing the internet. The result also shows that there is quite a need for an improvement in terms of literacy. There should be familiarization for the faculty by attending seminars, workshops relating to the online learning activities. For the administration, this implies that the administration is willing to support the implementation of e-learning in the university. There is a commitment and willingness to provide teachers and students an adequate support to ensure the development and opportunities for the online courses and programs. There is also an indication that the administration ensures that the delivery of technical resources and instructional resources will be adequate and timely to the need of the university. So I hope this could be also helpful to show other schools who want to start blended learning in their schools or in their universities. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing us much of time. Well, I think that'll be all for our 3 presenters for this section. Are there any feedback or suggestions to our presenters? Let me make a very short conclusion of your papers. So far, you didn't have any question. Our first presenter from Ms. Chen from England. Very impressed about your aging society and the focus group to the painting activity for the senior citizens. Especially your methodology using focus group. I may have a question for you about any specific strategy that you use for those senior citizens. Because you need to observe more about the interaction among the different ages and activity they tend to do. So what's the special strategy that you use in this focus group?
When I do focus the interview,
Yeah.
what's the strategy I would
That's
use?
right, yeah.
Shall I reply now? Or-
Yeah, please.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for your question.
I followed the general focus group interview strategy, but for senior, for older adult learner, I asked them questions and let them discuss together. And I have an assistant which collected their discussion, their answers. But the strategy I use is I got 10 questions for them, and the 10 questions I try to use a very gentle way of express the questions, because for them, I mean, they have a lot of experiences, so they don't like to be told what to do. So the strategy I use probably is one strategy, main strategy. Ask gently and make them feel relaxed and in a relaxed environment, and they can freely to discuss the questions.
Yeah, because from my understanding, to do the ice breaking for a quantitative study is kind of hard. So how did you do the ice breaking thing to melt it into those senior citizens?
Yes, I joined. Basically, I joined 3 terms, which is a year, art class with them. So, in a way, I become their friend. So they would be more willing to share their experience to me. So basically, I'm a spy in the class. But I think I learn a lot from them, and the experience I have, which is really therapeutic for me, because to talk with older people, senior people, they if they ask the right questions, they have a lot to answer. It's really good experience. Thank you.
Right. And for the second presenter, I'm also impressed about your job of consultancy to different organizations, and especially you mentioned about the industry 4.0. So my question is that, as you referred, the artificial intelligence is playing a crucial part in nowadays curriculum. How do you think that the AI will change the landscape of education? And what's the role and the function should teachers play?
How will it change education?
Yeah.
It's already changing.
Yeah.
And if the study institutions and faculty does not adapt fast enough, it will become obsolete, like shopping malls, as I mentioned just now. So how do you change? First, the educators yourselves, it's no longer about blended learning or what, it's about 100% e-learning, and not even just e-learning, it's also about mobile learning and learning. So it's about the educators themselves must be at the forefront of learning, must develop that ability, capacity to adapt, be agile, move quickly, because if the learners themselves, if the students themselves have been exposed to multi-devices, and they come and just listen to you, they're just not going to come anymore. Yeah? So first, educators must change. Study institutions, as a consultant, I would say probably need to be restructured. To be more flexible and like an amoeba, because now to change courses, course titles, introduce anything, you've got to go to the Senate, you've got to go get approval. That's one of the reasons why I dropped out from education. Everything is so bureaucratic. So there's a need to be able to move quickly. If you go to my website, you'll find that my website is half finished, because even for me, a small professional education center, I'm just trying to move very fast with things. It's about, it's not just a buzzword, it's about moving fast and adapting fast. And just like Snapchat, it appears, people want to learn very quickly, grab it, and then it disappears. And then it's on to the next thing, all right? So, being older, you need to also work. It means that you have to work doubly hard. So study institutions need to change, and also the educators first before the students. The only reason why students are now persuaded to go back, I have a student who is like that, persuaded to go back to taking an online course is because the mother thinks that in the end some traditional qualification is still necessary. But they're earning more money. College student dropouts are earning more money doing online shopping as merchants than they would if they were to stay on in university, learning, psychology, marketing, the traditional marketing. So it doesn't work for them anymore. Right? So proof in success outcome. So the other thing is about what it means for the learner, not what it means for the study institution and the traditional course description, and what you think is important, is what they think is important. So it's about mass customization, which is another key element of Industry 4.0. Whereas in the past, it's about mass production or standardized. Now it's about mass customization. The Asians, East Asians, are perfectly poised for surviving and serving this era. I was going to talk about this, but I can't because I only have a few minutes to answer this question. But I would have loved to talk about the East-West mentality and why this is the age where East Asians, and especially Chinese people, right, and those with very close features of the Chinese civilization will emerge as one of the winners, and it's Chinese and also East Asians, because there are certain elements in Eastern culture that would make it succeed in this age, right, compared to the Western one. It's because of the cultural way that people think. And I grew up in Asia, but I've worked most of my life in the West, so I understand both worlds quite well. And maybe you have to wait for the next conference.
Right, yeah. We look forward to hear more during the tea break.
As you can see, I'm a marketeer. I used to open up markets from zero, so I'm promoting my next conference presentation.
Okay, great. The third presenter is about e-learning, kind of in connect to the second presenters about the change and impact from the e-learning. But in terms of e-learning, do you see any changes from traditional learning types and compared to the e-learning types in terms of student learning outcome and the way of faculty members doing their professional development?
Yeah, well, as of now, because through e-learning, it's one of the changes that we're trying to do with our university right now. So the adaptation, we had a positive feedback in terms of the students. So they are like the students right now, they are all more into technology. So most probably they're much faster to adopt technology. So in terms of technology usage, so even though they don't have laptops at home, so they can use their cell phones. almost all students in Philippines, they all have cell phones of their own. So,
Including some remote areas.
in remote areas, that will be a different scenario, because in different areas we don't internet is not that accessible. So mostly in the big universities in the Philippines, so they are more into they're already open in blended learning, e-learning. But for us now, we're in the city of Muntinlupa, but it's a part also in Manila. We're still starting on it, but then as of now, as we assess, so students are learning, because they will not spend much time in school doing their work, but then through the use of the internet or computers, they will be able to be, so they're more creative in terms of using computers. That's it. And also in terms of the faculty members, almost all the faculty members in our university have their own laptops. Because since it's a public school, so we have to buy our own laptops. So each of us have our own laptops, and then, so that's it. So for them, it will be also easier for them to, for a change in terms of education, in terms of upgrading the education. So I think we're still in a long way, but then I hope we can also be one of those top universities that using e-learning already.
Thank you. Very marvelous empirical studies. Now, well, I think we have warmed up enough, so I should open to the ground and to receive the question or feedback, such as from our audience. Anyone? Yes, Professor Chen.
I have one question for Dr. Chen. I agree with you that about learner should learn, will learn better by internal or intrinsic motivation.
Yes.
But do you imply that younger person learn better, rely on external motivation, or basically speaking, all human beings should learn by internal motivation? And I also have one question for Jennifer Romasame. Romasame. Thank you.
Very beautiful name.
Okay, yes. Because the letters in your PPT is too small. I cannot catch enough information from your presentation. So my question may be not very relevant to your topics, but I would like to know, according to your review or your study, does the blended learning better than the pure e-learning and better than the pure face-to-face learning? And among many models of blended learning, which model is better? Thank you.
Okay, those two questions for our learning experts. The first one.
Yes, I think from my point of view, I agree with you. The ideal state would be like everyone, no matter what age they are, they learn from internal motivation. But I think because younger learners, they are lacking of life experiences, so they need guidance. They need someone to have structure for them to learn. So basically, it's more likely younger people they have more compared to internal motivation. They are more likely to have external motivation, such as because for older learners, if we are talking about retired or semi-retired group of people, they don't have the need of to find a job or to search for a career. So their external motivation it decreases quite a lot. But for younger people, they need to consider the future, their career. So they are more likely to study the subject which for them is useful but not really, they not have the passion of that subject. So I would say, in reality, younger people, they are more likely to have external motivation. Thank you.
Right, and third one.
Okay, so far, one of the model that we're using is, which is better, right? If it's the face-to-face or e-learning. That's why we have here the blended learning, which is, one is they can do learning in school at the same time also in their rooms. So, so in terms of school, the face-to-face learning, and then when they go home, they will also be able to access what they have learned from school also.
Does that satisfy you? So maybe we have another round. Okay, I'll take another question from this lady.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Lenita from the Philippines. My question is for Ms. Jen Lo. Your topic is actually very interesting because in the Philippines, fourth industrial revolution is already a concern. You mentioned that the impact is job to be done, or it's already done, for most of the professionals, and that is true. Maybe you can share with us the scenario on how professionals with 10 to 20 years of experience would handle the situation.
Thank you for your question. I think it's something that many of us will, it's very pertinent. If I understand correctly, you ask how to prepare, with 20 years experience. Ideally, it would be good to start learning entrepreneurial skills, because then you can learn to create your own, be employable. The second thing is to prepare, and it's not just for people with 20 years experience, it's also for youth. Because youth who graduate from universities from a number of countries are unemployable. It's not just in Asia, it's in the West. Because, sorry to say, what they're learning becomes obsolete by the time they graduate. So what is needed is for everybody. It's entrepreneurial skills. Number two is about critical thinking skills. Why critical thinking, which is a feature of the West, is because if you start to be discerning, you will be discerning and analytical. You will start to be able to, from a competency point of view, you start to be able to put the parts. Once you know the parts, you'll be able to put them together and innovate. Being innovative, being creative comes from, the first step is to be analytical in the right way. So analytical, then you build the different parts, observing the different patterns, putting them into a whole, and conceptualizing. When you're able to conceptualize something new, it means that you're able to innovate. And that's why you find that the Americans are very innovative, because they've been very good at critical thinking and so on. So that is the first step, right? So that's something you might need to develop. And then you would also, what would be really helpful is to develop wisdom. Wisdom means, in this particular aspect, right, employable aspect, means to be self-aware and to have the insight to be able to pull the learning from experience, the lessons from experience, and it's not from somebody telling you. So what happened in the past in training is that simulations and contrived games and so on are to prepare you structure to structure. In terms of education and even corporate training, what is needed today is to provide the conditions, the scenarios, the experiences, and let them pool their own resources. The teacher and the educator does not tell them what they want them to learn. They have to learn how to learn from themselves. So the best thing is learning how to pool learning lessons from different different scenarios, and also this may not just include experiences, it may also include storytelling. This is where I say we go back to the past, the ancient wisdom of the Asians. And this is where you will find in Chinese culture, you learn wisdom from, for example, the romance of the three kingdoms. With Christians, you learn from the parables. And the Indians learn from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. This is something too complex, meaning that through stories, you're able to teach people, and we don't mean just people with 20 years experience, from the young, all right? How to seek the truth from their own truth, their own self-awareness and wisdom from the complexities of stories. People read different things in different stories. So let them, this is what we call mass customization. It's not you telling them the same truth, your truth. It's them, you telling the story and let them tell you how they interpret it. So it's a totally different way of educating people. I always talk very long, sorry.
It's all right.
Comes from my education background.
It's all right. Yeah, very good. Well, any others?
Hope it answers you. Does it answer?
Yeah, you can follow up.
Yeah, this is a follow-up. How would you compare now the adaptability of those professionals with years of experience versus the newly graduates?
I don't understand
How would you compare their adaptability and flexibility in transforming now from the third revolution going to the fourth revolution? Their adaptability and flexibility.
If you talk about the higher education, yeah, I'm going to be very cynical. From the educator point of view, you really need to work better, faster, and the mind needs to be reset, the paradigm shift. And it's now about not just e-learning, mobile learning, but different learning. Yeah? So adaptability of the educators need to be, really, like a high-speed train, needs to be changed very quickly, very fast. Very fast. If you don't have time, I'm told that today, and I tell you the same thing. You don't have time. In terms of the graduates, the young graduates, and I thought it was just a problem limited to one or two countries. But when I've been going around promoting online education in ASEAN region, not yet in the Philippines, but Indonesia and Indochina and so on. And what I'm finding is that there are many fresh unemployed graduates. Unemployed means you've been unemployed for more than 6 months after graduation. It tells me that they're outcomes of an old-fashioned system. So it's very sad because they are, for want of a better word, what can they do? They're victims of a system that has not changed. Yeah? So who is more adaptable? I don't have an answer. I think it starts with the institutions and the educators. There's a need to change.
Right. Great. Any questions?
Yeah.
Back. Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. My name is Chairperson, visiting professor at the Chen University. My question is, presenter, when we go someplace to learn some new things, I go there because my friend is there. It's a kind of social, psychological motivator rather than the self-motivation or something like that. So, in East Asian culture, kind of social activity, social network is very critical. That's why we go someplace even after we retire from the job position, right? So how does this social networking have some implication to your study? It's my question to you. And my second question is to second presenters. In professional training, we might think about these things. Let's say in the medical doctoral training courses, although we emphasize the skill and technology for future doctors, but in principle we emphasize you should be a good human being because you treat with people, right? So human being development is much more important than the technology or skill or something like that. And even in law education, we emphasize that you should be a good human being because you have to use law without legal violation, right? So what do you think about this different perspective? Because I am not emphasizing the competency or skill. Rather than these two types, I emphasize the human being in the line with the poster of presentation, keynote presentation.
I think Dr. Ong is supposed to answer this question about good human being.
I think each one of you have 2 minutes to answer the question, so what do you want to do for the first one?
Hopefully I understand your question. You mean you're asking in Asia culture, the social interaction, that kind of way, is that suitable for Asia culture? I think, well, yeah, in Asia culture we are we are shy, and then we are not really used to use this method like social interactive. But I think we can change, and the feeling I have, or the observation I had from this case study, I think is I think we can start with in an interaction with the talk kindly, because if you use kind words, even it's critical thinking or critical suggestions, but if you use the kind way to say it, it will increase people's connection, and the interactive would be better in more harmonious way. So I think we can change and can start from I think we can train ourselves through different scenarios, like in workplace or in family, and then two strangers. So I think I'm quite positive about the interactive in Asia culture. Thank you.
If I understand your question correctly, you're asking about being good, right? Human values in education. Yeah. Whether you want to change or not, it's already impacting. People don't really need lawyers and doctors in a few years' time, the average, right? Because everything is available through the internet, and AI will soon replace, much of the medical examinations and what doctors do. So what would be at premium? What would be at premium is the human value, yeah, and compassion. Yeah. So it's coming anyway. So and the other thing is, before it hits you, if a doctor does not demonstrate a caring touch and so on, it will go around the social media. Nobody will come and see you after that. So it's already happened. So it's something that's is going to be very important. When I did my MBA in London, I dropped out. I mean, it's like 20,000 pounds at that time. But I dropped out because what my course mates were learning was how to cheat without letting the lecturers know. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. So I left. Yeah. So and business ethics are now being introduced. But that is still the Western model. The Asian model is going to be different. Okay, thanks.
Great. Yeah, thanks for anything to add on?
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to have an additional answer with Sir. So I think one of the blended model that we're using right now in our school, since we're starting the rotation model, which is that students will have time to use the laboratories, and then at the same time, they have a face-to-face time with their teachers also. So they have given time to discuss with the teacher and at the same time use the laboratory. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think let me offer this section. Before I end up this section, I would like to extend my sincere gratefulness to our 3 outstanding presenters. Would you like to give them a round of applause? One job to be a host of a section is to satisfy to presenters and audience. I hope I satisfy all of you this afternoon. Thank you.